Picture this. Over 100 everyday jobs disappeared in a single heartbeat. Not a headline from tomorrow's paper. This is happening now in 2025. Builders, chefs, care home managers, warehouse supervisors, all suddenly locked out of the skilled worker visa system. This shocking twist in the UK Immigration Policy 2025 is sending shockwaves through industries across the country. And if you've been following the UK skilled worker visa news, you'll know the fallout is massive. Thousands of British firms are now wondering how they'll make rent next month. We will look at what changed, the real cost for employers and workers, also industries on the brink, and what this means for the UK economy and your future. If this topic is important to your job, your business, or even your family's future in the UK, then make sure you watch this video to the end, hit the like button so YouTube recommends it to more people, and subscribe so you never miss the latest updates. So, what exactly changed? First, the skill bar shot up. Skilled worker visas now demand RQF Level 6, basically a university degree. That means goodbye to 111 roles. Bricklayers, care workers, bakers, HGV drivers, and lab techs wiped from eligibility overnight. Employers simply can't sponsor them anymore. But that's not all. There's still a temporary shortage list of 52 lower-skilled roles, yet every employer must submit a domestic upskilling plan. In plain English, prove you're training a Brit for the same job, or forget about the visa. For many businesses, that's bureaucracy they just can't keep up with. And then comes the price hike. The immigration skills charge jumped by a staggering 32%. A medium-sized firm now pays £1,500 per sponsored worker every year, up from £1,140. On top of that, the route to settlement doubled from 5 to 10 years. That's a full decade of fees before an employer can finally stop budgeting for visas. Even English requirements tightened. Applicants and their dependents must hit higher scores on approved tests. Fail once and the visa's refused. Fail later and the firm risks losing its sponsor license altogether. And in the most devastating blow, the social care worker visa route has been closed completely. New overseas applicants can't enter the sector at all. Only those already here can extend their stay. Now, let's talk about the real-world price tag. Imagine a restaurant wants to bring in an experienced chef. Today, that means paying a minimum £38,700 salary, adding £1,500 each year in skills charges, stacking nearly £1,084 in visa fees for a 5-year route, plus £1,035 annually for the health surcharge. Add a partner and one child, and that single chef costs the business over £14,000 before they even step into the kitchen. Scale that up to 10 chefs, and you're staring at £140,000 up front. For most independent chains, that kind of cash simply doesn't exist. Construction tells the same story. One Leeds firm, Mason Build Limited, used to rely on 26 foreign bricklayers. After the rule change, only 3 now qualify. Their manager admitted they've already delayed 2 housing projects, and if local hires don't appear by September, the bank will pull the plug. Across Yorkshire, housing associations are adding £30,000 in finance costs for every delayed home. Hospitality is another crisis point. The British Hospitality Association estimates 180,000 vacancies nationwide. Chefs, hotel receptionists, restaurant supervisors, roles wiped from eligibility. One London hotel group said they're short 43 housekeepers, despite being nearly at full occupancy. To cope, they've raised room rates by 18%, but they warned me we're pricing out the very tourists we're desperate to attract. And then there's social care, where the numbers are even brutal. England alone needs an additional 152,000 care workers by 2030. With overseas recruitment cut off, the government pledged £1 billion for domestic hiring. But training a new apprentice takes 12 months, costs £4,000, and almost half drop out before finishing. Care homes are already turning away residents, and councils warn that hospitals could soon be gridlocked with patients who simply have nowhere else to go. The economic domino effect is clear. Fewer workers means stalled building sites, pricier menus, and longer NHS queues. Oxford Economics predicts that if just 30% of missing migrants aren't replaced, GDP growth could fall by 0.7 percentage points next year, roughly £18 billion lost. Inflation would tick up another 0.3 points as wages spike in already struggling sectors. And that's assuming Brits rush into these jobs, which so far surveys suggest is unlikely. The government side of the story? Ministers insist the UK must train its own workforce and cut record migration numbers. They've pledged £2.5 billion for skills boot camps and a youth jobs guarantee. Critics, however, say those boot camps produce generalists, not the master bricklayers or specialized chefs industries urgently need. And let's not forget, last week's vacancy stats still showed nearly 900,000 unfilled roles nationwide. Buried deeper in the policy is another kicker. Dependents of skilled workers now count against the annual visa cap. That means every spouse or child an employer sponsors takes up a slot that could have gone to a new worker. Some companies are quietly pressuring staff to leave families behind or scrapping job offers entirely. Run a business caught in this mess? Drop your industry and biggest concern in the comments. I read them all and might feature you in a follow-up. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the latest updates, because the shortage list is expected to shrink again. So, what can small businesses do to survive? First, audit your current sponsored staff. Roles under the old rules remain valid until those visas expire, so map out expiration dates carefully. Second, consider raising salaries selectively. Sometimes meeting the £38,700 threshold is cheaper than replacing an entire team. Third, act fast with shortage list applications. Get your domestic training plan submitted this week, not next month. Fourth, build partnerships with local colleges. Even a short-term placement can buy breathing room. And finally, start pricing these new costs into contracts today, because waiting until renewal will wreck your cash flow. Looking ahead, Parliament will vote on the secondary legislation this autumn. Industry groups are lobbying to get construction and hospitality roles reinstated, but the Home Office is signaling unlikely. If nothing shifts, vacancy rates could double by Christmas. On the other hand, if the government's training funds actually deliver and Brits take up these roles, the pain could ease by late 2026. That's a big if. Conclusion. Here's the bottom line. One policy tweak erased over 100 jobs, pushed hiring costs up by nearly a third, and left entire sectors scrambling. Construction sites are stalling, restaurant bills are rising, and care homes are shutting their doors. These aren't just headlines, they're invoices landing in inboxes right now. Tell me in the comments how your workplace is coping, share this video with anyone still in denial, and hit subscribe to stay updated. This story is moving fast, and I'll keep you posted every step of the way. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.